Iranian troops have occupied Tehran airport and grounded the plane that was to have fetched Ayatollah Khomeini from France. It was last Saturday that Ayatollah Khomeini, Iran's exiled Muslim leader, confirmed his timetable for revolution. He said he'd return home this Friday to form a revolutionary council that would replace Iran's new civilian government with an Islamic republic. But with 48 hours to go, Iran's army seemed to have taken preemptive action. Our reporter in Tehran is Simon Dring.
The trouble began last night when Iran Air made it quite clear they intended to defy the government and fly 2 planes to Paris this morning. They were supported by Tehran's religious leaders who called for mass demonstrations at the airport to keep it open by force if necessary. Shortly after midnight, the army took the initiative and troops and tanks were moved in to block the main runway. From dawn this morning, all traffic was being turned away and it was announced that the airport would be closed indefinitely. To make sure the planes would not take off, Air Force mechanics removed vital components from the engines of the 2 jumbos being readied for the trip. Iran Air workers claimed that at least 4 other planes had been immobilized in this way. When the demonstrators arrived, the troops gave them little more than an hour before the order was given to move them on. There was some shouting and rifles were waved in the air, but within a few minutes the roads leading to the airport had been cleared and sealed off by more tanks.
A determined army, angry demonstrators, a vacillating government and an implacable religious leader who intends to return in triumph on Friday. It sounds like the recipe for certain conflict. But there seem in fact to be some elements of flexibility which aren't at first sight obvious. It's true that the new Prime Minister, Dr. Bakhtiar, far from bridging the gap between the Shah's regime and its enemies, has now become the target for all the religious and political opposition himself, and he has to rely entirely on his army. But the Ayatollah Khomeini, for the first time since arriving in France 3 months ago, may have been forced to compromise a little. His doctor is said to have warned this morning that the Ayatollah's health won't allow him to travel on Friday after all, though he's bound to return to Iran at some point. The Shah, meanwhile, who's now in Marrakesh, seems to have decided that everything isn't necessarily lost. He was to have gone to the United States in virtual exile. Instead, he'll return to Egypt, where there are no demonstrating students and where he can be within striking distance if the army should take power in Iran and call him back. Those are big ifs, but the combination of a holiday and the advice of his Moroccan and Egyptian hosts may well have stiffened the Shah's resolve not to give up yet. But after the army's takeover of Tehran airport, it now seems clear that if and when the Ayatollah Khomeini returns, he won't necessarily take over without a struggle. And if the army feels the Shah hasn't disappeared for good, it might well encourage them to take control themselves.
With violent incidents continuing in the Irani oil town of Ahwaz, a British RAF plane has evacuated a group of British, American and other expatriates. From Ahwaz, the Hercules transport took the oil workers and their families to Bahrain, and with up to 200 foreigners likely to leave, 2 or 3 more flights have been planned. Here at home, the TUC General Council has been meeting all morning, and TUC leaders are now expecting to see the Prime Minister at Mr. Callaghan's request next week. At this morning's meeting, the leaders of the unions involved in the 3 major disputes, the lorry drivers, the public service workers and the railwaymen, were all present. Mr. Moss Evans, the transport workers leader, gave a long explanation about the lorry drivers' dispute, and he again criticised the hysteria surrounding the strike. Mr. Len Murray is to discuss the dispute with rail union leaders today, after ASLEF's executive have decided whether to attend further talks with British Rail. In the meantime, commuters coming into London from the southeast faced another day of disruption. Because of yesterday's strike, many electrified rails were still frozen, and most southern region stations were almost deserted. Usually between 7 and 10 a.m, 500 trains run into London. Today, only 4 trains reached their destinations by 8 a.m. Many commuters made other arrangements, but early passengers from Putney persevered. They took 3 hours to get 6 miles to Waterloo. For much of the journey, railway staff walked ahead of the train, checking the line. The strike by public service workers on Monday is still having its effect. Some ambulance men are refusing to go back to work because they may not be paid for the emergency-only service they provided during the strike. Some schools are still closed because of the dispute with caretakers, and the dustman strike is leading to problems with rubbish disposal in several areas. One of the places affected is the city of Winchester, as Bruce Parker reports.
In this ancient cathedral city of Winchester, where the rubbish is already beginning to pile up, even the council dustmen talk in terms of the past. They point to the fact that they've never had an all-out strike in their 200-year history. But when dustmen in the rest of the country returned to work yesterday, the Winchester men suddenly became militant and decided to stay out indefinitely. The local council is issuing plastic bags to householders and traders, and later special dumps will be set up. But the city's main fishmonger is angry.
Well, I feel pretty disgusted about it, quite truthfully, particularly with all this stuff we have here, the fish bones and one thing or the other. It's obviously, the weather is cold enough now, but if it gets a bit warmer, it's going to start smelling. This is the thing. We've no transport of our own to move it. This is the thing. And it's just got to stay here until such times that they decide to come and pick it up.
Will this become a health hazard soon?
Well, it's bound to, isn't it? If it stays around any length of time, it's got to.
I think it's appalling, to be honest. We've already waited the last fortnight. After Christmas, we didn't have any dust collection for nearly a fortnight. Dust's been mounting up, and obviously with children around playing in the garden, it's not a good idea.
And so the city that was once the capital of England is for the first time getting a real taste of the industrial action that the present capital, London, knows only too well.
An appeal to support anti-inflation efforts has come from President Carter in his State of the Union address to a joint session of Congress. His speech, in which he called for agreement on his $530 billion budget, brought a low-key response. He's cut back on domestic welfare programs, but increased defense spending. He explained this by saying a strong American military presence remained part of the firm foundation for a stable world.
Military power is a major force for security and stability in the world. We must maintain our strategic capability and continue the progress of the last 2 years with our NATO allies, with whom we have increased our readiness, modernized our equipment, and strengthened our defense forces in Europe. I urge you to support the strong defense budget which I have proposed to the Congress. Towering over this volatile, changing world, like a thundercloud on a summer day, looms the awesome power of nuclear weapons. We will continue to help shape the forces of change, to anticipate emerging problems of nuclear proliferation and conventional arms sales, and to use our great strength and influence to settle international conflicts in other parts of the world before they erupt and spread. We have no desire to be the world's policeman, but America does want to be the world's peacemaker.
Part of America's strategy as the peacemaker is already underway. Following hard on President Carter's decision to open diplomatic relations with China is a swift agreement to export there a very American tradition, that renowned symbol of the consumer society, Coca-Cola. And, as a company executive announced, it'll be on a massive scale.
20,000 cases will be as follows. 5,000 cases of Coca-Cola in 6.5-ounce bottles, and 2,000 cases of Coca-Cola in cans will go to Canton.
The drink will be tasted in China for the first time since 4 bottling plants were closed there 30 years ago. 20,000 cases labelled Taste Good, Taste Happy have been loaded in Hong Kong to get to China in time to toast their New Year later this month. Home again, and Sir Henry Plum, the president of the National Farmers Union since 1970, retires from the job tomorrow. Sir Henry, who's 53, says he's now aiming for a seat in the European Parliament. Francis Coverdale has been looking at his term of office.
It hasn't been an easy time to be president of the NFU. With Britain's entry into the common market and the end to guaranteed prices, the impact on farmers has been considerable. But the problems associated with the changeover to a common agricultural policy haven't shaken Sir Henry's faith in the EEC. He's now aiming for a seat in the European Parliament, though that's not why he's resigning the NFU presidency.
Well, I thought a new hand at the helm wouldn't be a bad thing, and I've been a team leader for many years. I've been supported by very good colleagues. I wanted to give them the opportunity of showing their own skills and leadership and so on, and also giving an opportunity for younger men to come into the organisation, as they will do, and become office holders and take on the further responsibility in the whole agricultural political field. Having said that, of course, this year the elections will take place for the European Parliament, and so with these elections coming, I hope to have the opportunity of having a go, and if I do, of course, I shall still be very much involved in agriculture, and I hope being involved in improving the common agricultural policy in the interests of all.
England's cricketers have again trounced Australia, this time in a one-day match in Melbourne. The Australians were all out for 101. Mike Hendrick took 4 for 25 in his 8-over spell. And England replied with 102 for 3, with Boycott contributing 39 not out to England's 7-wicket victory. Here at home, the snow has again curtailed tonight's sport. Only one football match escapes, the League Cup semi-final between Leeds and Southampton. And the weather has also delayed the start of a new golfing career. Renee Powell is the first black woman golfer to become the professional at a British club. As David Cass reports, she's one of America's leading tournament golfers, when the greens are playable.
You can't play golf when your course is under 4 inches of snow, but for the first woman to compete on level terms with men, that's a minor problem.
Start the hands and the left.
She simply rearranged the club restaurant to make space for her first teaching session as Silvermere's new professional.
The club head nice and high and square, and you have a nice full shoulder turn here, which is good.
Miss Powell's appointment is regarded as a great coup by this young Surrey club. She's Britain's first black lady professional and a big tournament attraction. But how will the American tour affect her new job?
Well, actually, I will be spending about 20 to 23 weeks on the circuit back in the States and throughout the world playing golf tournaments. So that leaves me with quite a bit of time. I mean, with 52 weeks in the year, I will be able to spend quite a bit of time here with the members and participating in, just sort of various golfing events here.
For some golfers, thick snow would mean a disastrous start to a job. But it's nothing new to Renee Powell. She was brought up in Ohio, where her local course is presently under 3 feet of snow and the temperature's 15 below freezing.
Well, that's lunchtime news. Our next news is at 5:40. Now let's have a look at that freezing weather with Jack Scott.
Well, we now know that it's Rennie Powell that we've got to blame for this wintry weather, and the wintry weather, of course, is going to continue. Believe it or not, what's controlling the weather at the moment is this high pressure up here over Greenland, and another belt of high pressure that's away over Eastern Europe and Russia as well. These two between them are controlling the movement of the various low pressure systems that you see on the chart here. These two, for instance, this fellow and the one behind it, are going to be squeezed away towards the Mediterranean. That's the chap that gave us the snow a couple of days ago, and that's going away eastwards quite steadily. But this fellow is now coming into the picture, already spread cloud over northern parts. In the meanwhile, the ridge of high pressure here has protected, so to speak, the southern part of the country, and this is very well shown on today's satellite picture. There you see the southern part of the country standing out bold and clear, and cloud, those little white blobs, already starting to get into the northern parts, and that cloud's got right over Scotland by now. And the large white area to the east is giving snow in the continent now. That's the snow that we had a couple of days ago. So if we put weather to that now then and look at today's weather, there's the snow that's coming in into Scotland. It's rain and snow mixed really. The coastal areas are getting rain rather than snow, but it will gradually turn to snow in most parts. But at the same time, there's brighter weather coming in into northern Scotland, and this will gradually come down across the country during this afternoon and evening. There are snow showers though, and these will be real snow. The weather will turn colder as that brighter weather comes along, because you're going to get this cold, icy, northerly blast coming in. It's already arrived in some places. At the other end of the country, we have sunny weather down here in the south. It's likely to stay like that, although there has been some fog. It's thinning in the west country. And then in between, these sleet and snow areas gradually working into northern England and North Wales. Tonight, quite a cold night everywhere, frost everywhere, and the snow showers mostly around the coast, some of them up on the hills in the north, giving a little drifting in places, the strong winds incidentally, and the sleet and snow working its way further south, not getting to the far south until quite late in the night. That's it. See you later.